Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious oven-baked stuffed shrimp. We first start off by taking large shrimp. We peel it, clean it, and devein it. Then afterwards, it is seasoned and marinated for a couple of hours. Next, we create a shrimp and crab meat style dressing. Once the dressing has cooled, we take the dressing and we wrap it around each shrimp tail. From there, it is coated with Italian breadcrumbs, butter, and more Italian breadcrumbs. From there, it is placed in a hot oven and baked until the shrimp is cooked. This recipe makes 10 individual servings of stuffed shrimp. It's a great appetizer for parties, but it can also be a great side dish for like holidays. Full of shrimp and crab meat flavor, well seasoned, and absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all you'll need to make your New Orleans style oven baked stuffed shrimp. Let's get started with our ingredients. You will need 1.5 to 2 pounds of large Louisiana shrimp, 1 pound of blue crab puree, salted butter, large eggs at room temperature, mayonnaise, Zatarain's Creole mustard, plain breadcrumbs. You will also need some Italian style breadcrumbs as well, and 1 medium-sized lemon at room temperature. And for your seasonings, you'll need some green onion, celery, green bell pepper, garlic, and some fresh parsley. And for our additional seasonings, you'll need some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Now, if you don't have this, you can use the Zatarain's Creole seasoning or the Sappy Mama Cajun seasoning. You will also need some Chef Paul Prud'homme's Seafood Magic, granulated onion, granulated garlic, some crushed red pepper, and some dried thyme. This next tool is optional, a large food processor. And to bake your stuffed shrimp, you will need an 11 by 17 inch baking pan. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So here I have about 3.5 to 4 ounces in weight of green onion. And from there we're going to chop this up. And make sure you chop up the ends to your green onion as well. Okay, next I'm going to rinse off my celery, my green bell pepper, my fresh parsley, and 1 medium-sized lemon off with cold water. Next, chop 2 ribs of celery. Okay, here I have a half of a green bell pepper. Make sure you remove the core out of the green bell pepper before you chop it. Chop half of a green bell pepper. Alright, here I have 1 large clove of garlic. I cut it in half. Now, if you have a smaller piece of garlic, you're going to need about 2 of them. Alright, here I have a garlic press. And from there, I'm going to press the garlic. And there we go. Alright, here I have some fresh parsley. Now, we're only going to use a small amount of this parsley, so I'm going to just cut that little section off right there. And from there, I'm going to chop this up until it is minced. Okay, here I have 1 medium-sized lemon. I'm just going to take my knife and cut the lemon in half. We're only going to use 1/2 of the lemon. Alright, let's get started with peeling, cleaning, and deveining our shrimp. Alright, here we have our shrimp. We're just going to remove the head off the shrimp tail and place that into this medium-sized bowl over here. And from there, we're going to peel the shell off of the shrimp tail. Now, I'm going to show you this. So we peeled most of this off. We want to leave this part on right here. This is the end part, the tail. Alright, just peel that off like that. Now, you're only going to need about 10 of these large shrimp tails with the tip of the shrimp shell on. And there we go. We have our shrimp tail with the end shell on. And we're going to take that and we're going to place that into this small bowl over here. And we're going to take the rest of the shrimp shell and we're just going to place that into this large bowl here. And the rest, you could just take them and just peel the whole shell off. And from there, you just place them into the bowl with the other shrimp tails. Alright, let's devein our shrimp tails. So, here we have a shrimp tail. And back here is the shrimp's digestive tract. We're going to take a sharp serrated knife and we're going to carefully cut out the back of the shrimp tail. Open that up there. And there is the shrimp's digestive tract. You can just take a knife or you just take your finger and just pull that out. And anything else, you could just take your hands and just remove that out of there. And there you go. And from there, you just place it into this small container here. Okay, I've added my shrimp tails into this strainer, and I'm going to rinse the shrimp tails off with cold water. And there we go. All right, I've placed my shrimp tails into this medium-sized bowl. Now let's add some seasoning. I'm gonna add a half to 1 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a half or 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Seafood Magic. Here I have a half a lemon. I'm gonna just squeeze just a little bit of that right on in there. It's about 1 to 2 teaspoons of that. All right, so I'm gonna take my hands and I'm just gonna carefully coat the seasonings onto the shrimp. Now, if you don't like the lemon on the shrimp, you can omit that if you like. I'm going to cover this. Place this into your refrigerator and let this marinate for 2 to 4 hours or overnight. All right, let's get started with pureeing our shrimp. So in a large food processor. Now, if you don't have the food processor, you can just use a knife and chop the shrimp up really well. Okay, next you're going to add your shrimp tails, the ones that where you peel the entire shrimp shell off. You're going to add that into this large food processor. Do not add the 10 large shrimp tails that I told you to reserve, the ones that have the end shell on. Don't add those. You're going to leave that on the side because we're going to stuff those later. Pulse this about 15 times. And there we have it. Our shrimp is nice and pureed. Preheat your fire to medium heat. All right, let's get started with making our shrimp stock. So in this medium-sized pot, I'm going to add 6 cups of water. And let's add some seasoning. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Seafood Magic. And I'm also squeeze just a little bit of lemon juice in there. About a half a teaspoon of that in there will do. Stir all your ingredients together. Add your shrimp heads and shells. Stir all your ingredients together. Let this simmer for 40 minutes. Alright, it's been about 40 minutes now for our shrimp stock. As you can see, that's nice and cooked down. Exactly what we're looking for. Now you're going to go ahead and turn your fire off. Okay, here we have a medium-sized bowl with a mesh strainer inside of it. I'm going to pour the shrimp stock with the shrimp heads and shells right on in there. We'll just give it a quick shake to drain some of the shrimp stock. And from there, you can discard the shrimp heads and shells. And once done, you should have about 3 cups of shrimp stock in this bowl. Preheat your fire to medium heat. All right, let's get started with making our shrimp and crab meat filling for our stuffed shrimp. So in this large saucepan, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of salted butter. Let me just spread that around. And I'm going to let that melt. Okay, let's add some seasoning. I'm going to add a half a cup of our chopped green onion ends. This is the scallions. A half a cup of chopped celery. A half a cup of the chopped green bell pepper. And here I have some of the regular green onions. I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of that right on in there. Stir all your ingredients together. Now what we want to achieve is we're going to let this cook all the way down. So it's going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to cover this. Let this saute for about 8 to 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 8 minutes now. As you can see, that's nice and cooked down. It's exactly what we want. Okay, let's finish adding the rest of our ingredients. So our 1 large clove of garlic, whichever amount that you have, just add that right on in there. Let's say about 2 teaspoons of that. Next, I'm going to add the pureed shrimp. Remember our shrimp that we pureed? We're just going to add that in there. Remember the 1 pound of pureed crab? We're just going to add that in there. Dump it all in there. Now I'm going to give this a quick stir. Okay, next I'm going to add 1 heaping tablespoon of mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of Zatarain's Creole mustard. Now let's add some seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/4 to a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, a half a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a half a teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Magic, a half a teaspoon of granulated onion, a half a teaspoon of granulated garlic, 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a half a teaspoon of dried thyme, and about a tablespoon of fresh parsley. Stir all your ingredients together. I'm going to cover this. Let this simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 2 to 3 minutes now. Add 2/3 cup of plain breadcrumbs. Stir all your ingredients together. As you can see, that should start to come together. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now you're going to go ahead and turn your fire off. Next, I'm going to add 2/3 cup of the homemade shrimp stock. Add that in there. Now you're going to give this a quick stir. And there we have it. Our stuffing is ready. I'm going to let this cool until it's warm. Alright, here I have 1 large egg and I whipped it up with a fork. And from there I'm just going to pour it into the stuffing. I'm going to give this a quick stir. And the egg is going to help bring the stuffing together. And from there we're going to let this cool completely. Alright, let's assemble our stuffed shrimp. So here I have some Italian style breadcrumbs. And I'm just going to sprinkle that on top of this plate here. Doesn't have to be a certain amount, just spread it on top of there. Just shake it to make it even. From there I'm going to add 3 ounces in weight of the stuffing. I just place that on top like that. And I'm just going to carefully press it down. Here we have the shrimp tail with the end shell left on. Just going to add that right in the middle, just like that. Push it down in there a little bit too. And from there you just use the breadcrumbs and bring it all together. Kind of just wrapping it, so to speak. Like that. And you just use the breadcrumbs to bring it together, and that's all you got to do. And from there you could just take your hands and shape it up real nice. And once you have it all assembled, you could just take it and roll it into the breadcrumbs like so. Alright, here we have an 11 by 17 inch baking pan. I have about 2 to 3 tablespoons of melted salted butter with a pastry brush. I'm going to just take a little bit of that butter and I'm just going to lightly brush it on top of the baking pan like that to create a little non-stick surface. Okay, next I'm going to take my stuffed shrimp and I'm going to add it onto my baking pan. Now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 425 degrees. Okay, next we're just going to take our pastry brush and we're just going to dab the butter onto the stuffed shrimp. And from there we're just going to carefully flip them over and add butter onto the other side as well. Now if you ever happen to run out of butter, you can melt some more butter and just add some more on top. And from there you're just going to lightly sprinkle some Italian breadcrumbs. Just lightly sprinkle it on one side. Just flip them over and sprinkle some more Italian breadcrumbs onto the other side. Just very light. Now it is ready to be baked. Place this into a preheated 425 degree oven on the middle rack. Bake this for 15 minutes. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes now for our stuffed shrimp. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Let this cool for 30 minutes to an hour before serving. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oven-baked stuffed shrimp made by a New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including for these delicious oven-baked stuffed shrimp. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's Taste Test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to grate and take a bite. Oh man, look at that. Here goes nothing. Woo! Man, oh man, Charlie, this is a winner. It has a really nice crab meat and shrimp flavor, well seasoned. The flavor profile is absolutely outstanding. One of the best. Yes. So, give the recipe a try. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.